Oh, and maybe this is designed for something else.
It's actually going to be for referrals.
Oh.
It's going to be like a lead finder. Alright guys, really quick, let me introduce you to Ruben. This is Ruben Cleveland, and Ruben actually is one of our CSPs, and that is a Cutco sales professional. So there's a couple hundred in the company, but he's one of them. He sold over $200,000 worth of Cutco. He's the second highest career sales rep that we have in our office. Also started February 09. And Ruben was one of the individuals that I talked about on the first day, where he had just moved to the area, wasn't from here, had lived here, what, 2 months? Yeah, two. Yeah, so he had lived here 2 months, and he literally only knew one person over the age of 25 that he could even do an appointment with here, and we had no virtual demo program. And so you can imagine the mentality he probably had in training, thinking about the probability of this actually being possible. But he actually didn't let that hold him back, still gave it a shot. What did you do in your fast start?
Like 1,700.
1,700? How many appointments did you do?
15 or 16.
Okay. So he actually went home for like a 4-hour drive to his hometown and did some appointments at the end of his fast start. And then he got a couple referrals from like someone in Bear Lake that actually knew some people in Boise, and from those individuals kind of built off of that and went on to sell $50,000 in just that first 8 months. And then he also spent a year over in Afghanistan because he's in the Navy Reserves, and then just got back, but just got married this year, just bought his first house a couple weeks ago, pretty exciting. And he is one of the top reps in our office, and he is literally one of the best reps in the entire company. And you guys will see that as you work with Ruben, and you'll see him pretty much week in, week out. He's one of the top reps in our office. So what would you say, man, if you have any little words of wisdom, I know it's been a while since you were sitting in their shoes, but you know what it's like. What would you say if you could give any tips?
In the beginning, the biggest issue for me was having confidence that somebody would buy something from me. So just know if you're not a salesman, that doesn't matter, because we are salesmen, we're problem solvers. When I started, I'd worked on oil rigs, I'd worked doing construction, building homes, and then I never done anything like this in my life. So have confidence in the product that it does sell itself. When I started I did that first appointment with my aunt. She didn't buy anything, she didn't give me any referrals. And then I was actually practicing with my dad down in Bear Lake, literally just reading through my manual and practicing, and then he bought a set. And if he would buy, anybody would buy. My dad is the cheapest man in the world. So after that actually gave me a big boost of confidence, knowing who he is and like what he spends money on, which is driving a car for over 200,000 miles since 1993. So he pinches his pennies, but he loved Cutco and he bought it. And after that, it just kind of took off. So I have confidence in the product. People love it. And then just maximize, like do more. If you want to sell more, then you have to do more appointments. So do a ton of appointments, especially in your fast start. You all know about the contest by now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just do more appointments, make more calls, and treat it like it's just the end of the world if they don't see you, because it's a great contest to be a part of. The more Cutco you have, it definitely helps. So in the future, so.
What's your favorite thing about this working with the company?
Travel, money, people, my friends, flexibility. What else? Everything. I love. Actually, my favorite thing. I work with my best friends, and can't imagine working with another company. So many people try to recruit me out of this and do other things, but I love what I do, and love the people that are around. I love the big picture. Like there's a conference in Chicago. Really bummed I'm not going to be going, but when you go to a big conference, a national conference, it's really cool to see the big picture. So love the people here.
options going through 9 through 12 at all.
How much improvisation is okay when we're doing manual?
Honestly, I wouldn't add a lot. I really wouldn't. This is one of the mistakes I made when I started is like, I tried to remember all the things my manager told me in training, and like, I'd be like, oh, my manager talked about this. And I was like trying to elaborate on a lot of stuff, and the reality was I forgot most of the things he had said, but I remembered bits and pieces, and a lot of time I didn't say them at the right parts, and it was just kind of awkward more than anything. And if you get really good at what's in just that manual, it will give you a phenomenal gun. And so I guess less is more in many cases, because then it's like the more you're starting to elaborate, the more they feel like you're selling them on it. So, yeah. So, any other questions going through that?
I've always felt as though, like on page 10,
Mm-hmm.
where you're supposed to write down the investment options on paper,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of awkward at this point still.
It is, sure. And actually, that's one of the things we'll practice today. But it's one of the things that you want to practice, and not necessarily practice, but just make sure you're doing it. Is make sure you write down everything for them when you're going through it, and you'll see why here in just a moment. But the way that's going to really look when you're sitting there with a customer is. So this is my piece of paper. I say, so like you said, our basic set, this is our basic set right here, and it's called the Homemaker Plus 8, and it just comes with the 10 tools that I explained a little bit earlier. Plus it also comes with 8 of the table knives, and the wood block, and then we also do have a Homemaker without the table knives as well. Now if you guys were considering outside of Kaiko, would you guys say you'd probably go with the one with the table knives? Yeah, probably. Alright, well, the great thing about this set is it's not over 4,000. It's actually, it's not even as much as Woostoff at 2,000. The Homemaker Plus 8 set's only $10.79. And most people, they don't pay for it all at one time. Most people split it up over 5 months on an investment option. There's no interest on them. You're not penalized for doing that. And if you wanted to try it out that way, it would only be $230 today. And then it's just $230 over the next 4 months. And that includes tax, everything. Let me explain. So that's like ideally what it will look like. Is it going to look like that your first demo?
Probably not.
No. It's going to be like, now, it's not over 4,000. It's not even as much as Woostoff at 2,000. The Homemaker Plus 8 set's only $10.79. And most customers split it up over a 5-month investment option, so there's no interest. And it would only be $230 today. And that
James,
includes tax.
I think what's catching me, honestly, is that word investment. I'm more familiar with payment plan.
Mm-hmm.
Are you allowed to substitute that word?
Well,
And maybe that's what
you can.
getting her, that word investment, I think is,
Here's the thing. What has a better connotation? An investment or a payment?
Yeah, investment's cool, you know.
What has a better, connotation? Because what it is, it's an investment. And that's what it is. That's the psychology behind it. If you
Yeah.
want to say payment, you can say payment.
okay, I get you. But I wasn't
That's
sure,
all it
maybe that word was
Yeah.
catching
Yeah.
somebody.
That's all it is.
Okay.
Just, you can split it up over 5 months. I mean, as long as you explain it, guys, that, I don't really care. It's like you can split it up over 5 months and it would only be $230 today, and then it's just $230 over the next 4 months. That's it. And just don't act like it's a lot. It's like, it's only $230 today, only, and then just $230 over the next 4 months. And just be comfortable saying that. I don't care if $230 to you right now in your life is a ton of money. If you act like it's a lot, it is $230, they're going to be like, yeah, that's a lot. So just be comfortable with the numbers and the prices, and that helps more than probably anything else does. So.
And I see the investment, the power behind the word.
Yeah. It's a we do have a 5-month investment option. And basically, what it is, it's only $230 today, and then it would just be $230 over the next 4 months. So, all right. But you just want to make sure you're writing it down. So, any other questions going through those pages at all? Cool. All right. Really quick, what we need to do is we need to have you guys sign your sales rep agreement. And this is something you're going to get an email for. So if you've got a smartphone or your laptop, whatever you brought to do that, grab that, check your email on it. You can log into our wireless. It's on Vector is the name of the network. The password is Cutco Cutlery, all lowercase, no spaces in between. And if you need a computer, I can use a computer. Does anyone need one right now? Anybody? Do you need one? Good.
I guess, yeah.
Okay. If you do, if you have a smartphone, you can use a smartphone or a tablet. But if you don't, just hop on, check your email on here. You can do it right up there. Does anyone else need a computer?
I'm more than willing to share mine.
Jackie, have we sent the sales rep agreements? Oh, okay. You're not gonna have the email right now, okay? Here, it's fine, Jackie. I'll get it. All right, guys. Hold on one second. You'll get this here in just a second.
Oh, were you asking about the computer to just check our emails?
No, you have to sign an agreement basically before you start working. It just says
Sorry, what was the password, James? Cutco?
Cutco Cutlery, all lowercase, no spaces in between.
What website?
Just check your email, but you're not gonna have the email.
Are you sending it to them?
Yeah, I'm going to here in just a second, guys. I thought it had been sent, but I'm doing it right now. So you hold your horses. Alright, guys. So if you're in your email, refresh it right now. And see if you see the email for like Vector sales rep agreement.
I actually have a question about that. With doing virtual demos, should we use our personal emails or should we make a new account?
Well, I'd say it depends on what your email is. I mean, if it's
Well,
not, if it's not like some weird, like, you know, ICP thug or something like that, you know, an email or something like that. You know, if it's something that's like obviously not professional, I wouldn't use it. I would create a new one. If it's fine, then use
Okay,
it.
well, I created a new one
Sure,
last night.
totally fine.
Maybe the review
But
document?
that's not the email that we had because we obviously don't have that one on file. So whatever one we sent it to originally is what you got.
Okay.
Review documents are
Yep, and you're just going to sign it virtually. And on here, it's going to give you your rep number. You'll notice when you get into the document, you'll see an 8-digit number on the top left of the document. And that is your rep number, and you want to write it on the front of your manual.
I don't see one. But I've already
Check
done
your
one.
spam. Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're not in my system because you're in Spokane's. That's fine. Yeah. You're good to go. Sorry about that, AG. What's that? Just make sure you guys write down the rep number that's on that document.
top left, right?
Yep. An 8-digit number. And I'm about to, on the actual agreement, guys, I'm literally about to walk through all of it in terms of like what it says on there. On point number 1, it says you sell Cutco, you can't sell it in stores, you can't sell it online, so like no Craigslist, no eBay, nothing like that. The company checks it every day, and so if they see on there, they will turn in your, or have you turn in your kit at that point. Yeah.
I was
trying to set up an appointment with my mother-in-law last night, and she got on Amazon, and she found Cutco on Amazon.
Yeah, it's probably connected to someone just selling it. So it's just like someone like selling like if you personally had it. I mean, anyone can do that. It's just a lot of times used old Cutco, and sometimes it's not what it says it is. I mean, I've actually had friends who bought Cutco off eBay, and like it was advertised as like new Cutco, and it was like from the 60s, and it was like jacked up. Which I mean, they can send it back and they can get it replaced, but you know, it's just a lot of time not what that person is marketing it as. But yeah, so it is there. But yeah. So anyone can sell it, just you as a rep for our company can't be selling it online. So, and it also says you have to turn in orders at least once a week. And order turning in our office is every Monday by 3 o'clock. So you got to come in Monday by 3 to turn in your orders every week. If for some reason you can't come in on Monday, you got to come in sometime over the weekend and turn in your stuff. And that's just to make sure you get your paycheck. So make sure that you do that. Yes.
So say they get the microphone site and they're doing.
Hold that question, man. Write it down because I'm going through the sales rep agreement right now. So write that question down so you don't forget it. But we can
Well,
answer.
it's just about the.
Yeah, just write it down. The point. Yep, Monday by 3 o'clock. Okay. Point 2 on that agreement says that both your base pay and your commission are both a commission. The base pay is just a guaranteed commission, regardless of whether a sale is made or not. And then it also says that if a customer returns an order, the commission on that order does have to get reversed, which obviously if the company's not getting paid for the order, we can't get paid on it either. And so what they'll do is they would just take out that commission you had been paid on that order out of like your next paycheck. And it's pretty rare. Like I said, we have usually only like a 1 or a 2% return rate, and so it's very rare that someone actually sends back their Cutco, but if they do, that's what happens.
Should I just change my email while I'm doing this agreement, or?
Yes. Yeah, and guys, realize the address that's in that sales rep agreement is where your paycheck is sent, so make sure it's accurate. Now, point 3 on there is just talking about what a qualified presentation needs to be. So in other words, in order for it to be eligible for base pay, it has to meet those requirements. It says they got to be at least 25, which we've talked about. It says they have to be working on a permanent basis, so it can't be like a temporary job that they're only working for a week. You got to be working full-time, on like a regular basis. It also says that you got to do the whole presentation, meaning you got to go all the way through your manual, just like it's laid out. That you can't like BS with Cutco for 10 minutes like one of your friend's moms and like call it a demo. It's gotta actually be a demo. We go all the way through. And then it says it also has to be 101, which obviously we've talked about. And again, a husband and a wife is considered to be 101. Now, it also says that you have to turn in a qualified presentation report every week. And you guys will fill this out. I don't have one in here right now, but we'll fill this out on Monday when you guys are in here for advanced training. And you'll put all your appointments on that sheet. And you basically put down the name of the person who you saw, when you saw them, phone number, what they got, if they couldn't buy, just why they weren't able to at that time. Was it in-home or virtual? And basically how many referrals did you get? And so that's basically what the sheet is. And the company always reserves the right to verify appointments that people do. It is random, okay? So just make sure that you're only putting qualified presentation reports on that sheet. So what I mean is, if you ever happen to do an appointment with someone who's not qualified, meaning they're under the age of 25 or they're not working full-time, they will verify those appointments at random. And so if they ever find someone that's not qualified, then it's a discrepancy. It's a really serious issue at that point. They'll do one of two things. They'll either have you return your kit and you won't work for the company anymore, or they'll take you off base pay permanently. Either way, it's pretty severe. So not really worth, the chance of doing it. So you can do a demo with someone who's not qualified. You just can't put them on a qualified presentation report. Okay. And obviously this weekend you're only doing appointments with your HM3s anyways, but yeah. So we'll go over that more on Monday. And then what else is on there?
Download and print? I'm that far.
Well, you don't need to print it. I mean, you can
Okay.
save it on your, you don't have to, and you can always check your email and review it again if you want to do it later.
The number below the signature, that's our rep number, right?
It's at the top left of the document. It's like above, very top left. You'll see like 8 digits right there.
Oh,
That's your rep number. Now, it also talks about how you're a independent contractor. And I want to go over this just so you guys know. This basically has to do with how taxes work with us. So I take notes on this, guys. I write this stuff down. And before I explain how we work, let me explain how a typical job works. I know some of you, this maybe is your first job. So, first off, let's say if you're working at another job. And let's say you earn $5,000. You get paid about $3,500 out of that. Because usually about a third of your paycheck, or $1,500 in this case, comes out for taxes. Which the national average that gets taken out of somebody's paycheck for taxes is about 33%. Actually, maybe even a little higher now. But that's a national average. Some states it's a little higher, some states it's a little lower. But in Idaho, that's actually pretty close to accurate. Now, at the end of the year, you get a refund, though. And let's say you get $750 back, which is being pretty generous in many cases. And then the government keeps the other $750 for things like your FICA tax, your Social Security tax, or Social Security is FICA, state, federal, so on and so forth. So that's how a typical job works. Now, with Vector, you're an independent contractor. So what that means in the IRS's eyes is that you are a business owner.
1099.
Correct. So that means you pay taxes like every other business owner in America does. And so let's say if you earn $5,000, you're going to get paid $5,000. So zero gets taken out of your paycheck for taxes. Okay? Now we still pay taxes. Everyone has to pay taxes. And the difference is we pay our taxes at the end of the year as opposed to paying them throughout the year. And we get to pay our taxes after we've deducted all of our deductions. And you know, you have some business expenses. I would write these down. Make sure you get all these. First off, mileage is your biggest one. Any mileage it takes you to drive into the office for a training meeting, for a team meeting, I'd make sure you're writing these down correctly. Team meeting, anything. You get to use that. Anytime you drive to an appointment, you get to use that.
Now vegetables you have to buy.
I'm getting to it.
Oh,
Okay. So with mileage, make sure that you keep track of it. And easiest way to do this is get a mileage logbook. They're about $1.50 at pretty much any office supply store, Office Max, Staples, anything like that. And at the beginning of the day, before you start your appointments, you just write down your starting mileage. And then at the end of the day, when you're done with your appointments, you write down your ending mileage. And then at the end of the year, you'll know how many business miles you drove. And that's your biggest deduction. And you get 55 cents for every mile that you drive, which is a sweet deduction because it probably doesn't cost you 55 cents a mile to drive your vehicle unless you drive like a tractor, but you get to use that as your deduction. So most important thing is you want to just keep track of your mileage. Now, food, as Nicole said, any food you buy for an appointment. If you buy some, bag of carrots, anything like that, apples, oranges, grapes, whatever, anything you buy for an appointment, you can use as a deduction. Business cards. If you buy some business cards, which is a good investment, you can use that. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg, by the way, guys. You can go to vistaprints.com and you can get $250 for free. You have to pay for the shipping, which is like $6, but that's like the cheapest you'll ever get business cards. Now, there are some really nice ones on Vector Connect, but they're not free. Now, business cards is there. Business trips or work-related trips. And for us, fortunately, pretty much anything can fall into that category. If you ever go anywhere in the U.S. and you do an appointment while you're there, that is a work-related trip at that point in time, if you want it to be. And you can use that whole trip as a deduction. So if you drove there, all the mileage to get there and back can be used as a deduction. If you flew there, the ticket you bought to get there and back can be used as a deduction. So anytime you go anywhere, I would try and do a demo because you'll make some cash, and then also you can use the trip as a write-off. So business trips, business cards, food, mileage, samples. You know, if you buy your sample kit, that's something you're purchasing for your business. If you ever buy any Cutco to use as a sample to show, you get a 50% discount because you can use that as a write-off at the end of the year. So let's say at the end of the year you've got $3,800 in deductions. The majority of that would be your mileage. Now, in this case, you're in $5,000. So at the end of the year, what you do is you just subtract all your work deductions. Let's say in this case that's $3,800. That leaves you with a $1,200 taxable income. Meaning that instead of paying tax on $5,000, you pay tax on $1,200. So as an independent contractor, you a lot of times will pay a little less in taxes. You know, a lot of times it's only 5 to 15%. Obviously, if you make a lot more, you will pay more. Okay? That's how the tax system works in America. But that's on average what you're probably going to have pay. So what I recommend, save 10% of your paychecks. If you get a $200 paycheck, take $20, put it in a little savings account for yourself. If you get a $400 paycheck, take $40, put it in a little savings account for yourself. That's the diligent, prudent way of you just kind of setting that money aside for your taxes. And then at the end of the year, you've got that money ready to pay your taxes with. And you'll probably have some left over, but it's always better to have some left over than not have any there. So, most important thing, guys, just keep track of your mileage, keep receipts for any of these things, and you're good to go. Yes?
Are you going to have us fill out a 1099 today?
That's what you just did.
Oh. I'm just used to, and maybe this is why you're asking us to pay our taxes separately, but I'm used to claiming dependents on my 1099.
Yeah, you still do that. I mean, you still, when you file your taxes at the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just used to doing it up front. I filled it out the old school way.
Yeah, so, yep, we do it all electronically now. That's what I'm explaining right now. I mean, this is basically, on that agreement it says you're not an employee, you're an independent contractor. And just so you know, like other examples of what an independent contractor is, realtors. Any realtor is an independent contractor. Insurance agents, doctors, okay? If you ever gone to a hospital and had like a medical procedure done in like a room, you always get like 3 or 4 bills. There's like one for the emergency room itself, there's one for the doctor who did the surgery, sometimes the PA also gives you a bill. They're all independent in many cases. They're not working for the hospital, they're doing work in the hospital. So, that's what an independent contractor is. And so, lawyers, I mean, there's all kinds of examples, but any
Okay,
questions?
so we'll let them just keep a portion.
Yeah, I'd say save 10%.
Safe.
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
save 10%. Any other questions on this? Cool. Alright. So, curious. Raise your hand if you got between 4 and 8 appointments set up. Okay. If you got more than that. Okay. If you got less than that. Okay. So like I said, 80% of you typically set up 4 to 8. There might be one who sets up less than that. You got 3. Okay. It's going to happen to one person. It's going to happen. And I said usually there's 10% that get above that. And you know what? By the end of the day, I'm sure there will probably be 1 or 2 of you that get above that number. But just know that like the things I'm going to tell you are only coming from like years of like watching thousands of people. And you'll notice that patterns happen. And I'm just going to say there's going to have to be a point at one point where you start believing what I'm telling you to. And so I'm never going to steer you in a direction that I don't think will absolutely be best for you. How many of you were super nervous making your calls last night? Honestly. Right? Okay? How many of you felt by the end though you got a little more comfortable with it? Alright. And how was making calls? Like honestly. Ready to go. Like how were people when you were asking them? Okay.
For me, it sounded kind of generic to try to read the book,
Mhm.
still kind of keep it personal.
Right.
He was very, very awkward. It's like, well, you know,
But
thank
how
you
were
very
they?
much.
How were they?
They seem kind of like it's a little confused because I'm talking in this manner
Mhm.
and not just, hey, what's going on?
Sure.
So then, you know, they want to talk a little more personal, and then I'm like cutting them off, going, well,
Mhm.
thank you very much. Will you write this down?
Mhm.
But I still got the job done.
Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. You got 6. So
I got 6.
how were the people that you guys were talking to about like being willing to help?
Yeah,
Very helpful.
very helpful.
Yeah.
They were happy to hear from me, I think.
Not even willing to take the time.
Yeah. What they said? What?
Not even willing to take Actually, one guy used to sell Cutco, and he
Did he?
was really willing to help out anyone.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you know what, guys? You'll get someone every once in a while that's not open to doing a demo. But realize this, that not now doesn't mean no. New representatives a lot of time hear it that way. And they're like, yeah, I really can't do it right now, James, but like call me in a couple weeks and we'll try and do something. And they take that as like, I can't believe you even asked me to do a demo, you know, and they're like, oh, you know. But not now is not a no. Not now is yes, later. And you have to think about it that way, okay? And if you get someone that is kind of like grumpy, realize like it has, I mean, is that really because of you or is it because of them?
Because of that.
Right? You have no idea what could have been going on before you called them. I mean, like all of a sudden the kids are like fighting and one's like crying, the other one's slapping them, you know, and it's just like, and then you call and you're like, hey, can you help me with the Cutco demo I'm trying to do? And they're like, no, you know. Okay? You have no idea what's possibly going on. And so if you catch someone that's like super like irritated or whatever, it's just realize it's probably something happening going on. Most people are pretty cool about it. And, you know, you don't need to worry about that because most people are pretty cool. But, yeah. So, other than that, just realize that the phone is the most important part of your job. That's really where the work comes into play, in my opinion, is on the phone. You know, that's the real working aspect of this job. Like, the demos themselves are actually pretty cool. Like, you'll find that it's kind of cool to connect with people, and like, they love Cutco, and they think it's awesome. So the work really comes into play on the phone. And you guys might have noticed this poster over here, but basically, this phone consistency is based off of a 10-week period of time. And you'll notice it says if you make 10 calls a day, you'll sell 10,000 and you'll make $2,000 in income. And you think about it, that's an average of about $200. And that's 5 days a week, by the way. So how many of you feel like you could probably make 5 calls every morning and 5 calls every evening, at least 5 days out of the week?
Totally do that.
Right. Okay. If you do that, that's saying you're going to make 50 calls a week. If you think about it, that'll conservatively probably set 10 demos, very conservatively. And you'll probably complete 6 or 7 guaranteed. And if you complete 6 or 7 for 10 weeks in a row, that's going to get you $10,000 in sales. You'll make $2,000 in income. But it's 10 calls a day. Now, if you double the calls, though, you're not going to double your income. You're going to make 2.5 times the level of income. You're going to make $5,000 because you're going to be completing 10 to 12 a week. You'll make $5,000 in that 10 weeks, 500 a week average, and that's completing about 10 and 12 appointments a week, and it's 100 calls a week. If you make 30 calls a day, you're going to make $10,000 in income. You know, Curtis came in and talked to Willie and Greg yesterday and Emily and gave them a couple tips because he broke the record, and he was like, you know, I was making calls like 2 or 3 hours a day most days in my fast start. I don't think anyone else in his group did that except for Megan Heinen, who sold 8,000. But focus on the one thing you can have total control over. That's the most important thing, is focus on what you have total control over. What you don't have control over is like them not answering, or them being busy this weekend, or them not having internet, okay? You can't control those things. So it makes no sense to get upset about it and emotionally bent out of shape about it. Focus on what you have total control over, which is just how many calls a day you make. You always will have control on that. So if you just focus on that, like 10, 20, or 30 calls a day, like you decide how much you want to make in the next 10 weeks. Like, you want to make $2,000, make $2,000. $5,000, make $5,000, or make $10,000. But boil it down to the thing that you have total control over, which is the amount of calls a day that you make. So like tonight, if you don't have every single appointment slot filled that you were wanting to have, the best use of that time is sit down and make 10 to 20 phone calls and get 2 or 3 or 4 more appointments set up for yourself. Or, you know, tomorrow on a Saturday, I'd say 9 a.m. to 11 is a really, really solid time to put some time in for phone calls. Because Saturday is a great day to reach people, but you want to catch them before they like leave for the day. And so it's better to, and I also don't want to call them too early. So I know 7:30 to 9 is awesome. I would do that Monday through Friday. Yeah, Saturday, I would do like 9 to 11. Sunday, great day to reach people, but I would do your calls not in the morning in most cases unless you know they don't go to church. I'd make your calls between like 12 and like you know, 8 p.m. You know, put like an hour in your schedule on Sunday to just try and get a hold of people and start booking up Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. But if you set up at least 2 appointments a day, each day in your fast start, you'll set 20 appointments. You'll probably hit at least your second promotion and make $400 in your first 10 days if you just focus on getting like 2 more appointments set up each day. Now realize you're going to have one day you'll make 20 calls and you'll set 2. You'll have another day you make 20 calls and you set 1. You'll have another day you make 20 calls and you set 5. And you'll have another day you make 20 calls and you don't set any. And it's going to fluctuate all the time like that. So just know that and don't get emotionally attached to it. Don't get so, like, don't get worked up over, like, I can't believe no one's answering. Just, as long as you made your phone calls, you focused on what you had total control over. Best way to be in the business. Think about it the right way. Cool? So, this first part of training I'm going to dive into is probably the most important part of training, in my opinion. And, like, if you really want to hit your first promotion these first few days, and, like, you just want to do well in general, take some really good notes in this section right now. This is going to help you guys a lot. And I want to talk about quoting prices to your customers. Because at the end of the demo, one of 2 things is going to take place. You're going to ask the customer if they want to get it, and they'll either say, yeah, you know what, let's do it. Or they're going to be like, well, I don't know, I think that's a little more than we can afford right now, James, or I think that might be a little too much, or I think I kind of want to think about it first. Whatever it is that they say, that basically results in them not doing it, right? Now, let me ask you, if they say it's too much though, right there, does that mean that it's too much for every option Cutco makes?
No.
Of course not. It's too much for the homemaker at that point in their life. Even on 5-pay, it might be a little too much for them right now, and that's more than they feel comfortable spending today. And that's it. Now, realize this though, people will say it's too much money for one of 2 reasons. One, even the 1079 even split up on a 5-pay of 230 is a little much for them right now. That is one reason. Or they're trying to get a better deal. Okay? You guys ever done that before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's like when people buy cars. If you ever got, like, maybe you went, like, car shopping with, like, your dad or something like that before, you'll see this a lot. And by the way, a lot of people who, like, never lie when they buy cars. And I don't want to say lie, but it's just what you do if you're buying something. You try and save money. Well, let's say they save $10,000 to buy a car with, and they go down to a car dealership to get a car, and they see one they like, and they're like asking the salesperson, like, so what are you guys asking? And they're like, oh, it's $9,500. But let's say they're like, oh, this one's $84.99. And they're like, oof, really? What's the blue book on this? Well, I don't know. I mean, we're not barely making anything on this. Like, yeah, I mean, we could maybe do 7, but yeah, I would never pay that much for that. Yeah, I don't know if we can do that. I'll go talk to my salesman. And they go in and they talk to the salesman, and they're like, we could do $79.99. And they're like, oof, yeah, the economy's been so bad this year. I know we couldn't do something like that, but I mean, if you guys would take 74, we could probably do it. Go talk to your salesman, see what he says. And they do that all the time. And by the way, was it that they couldn't afford $84.99? If they went on the lot with 10 grand with the intention to buy a car, of course not. But it's your job as a customer to try and get a good deal. And like, people try and save money whenever they can. And so a lot of your customers will say it's too much money just to see if you'll like give them a better deal. You know, they're like, yeah, no, that's way too much. We would never pay that much. And they will do that sometimes, okay? Especially sometimes the men. Sometimes it's the wife. But sometimes they'll like act like it's way too much just to see. And that's totally fine, guys. And I've had customers say it was way too much and still buy it. Like after I handled their knee-jerk reaction, I dropped down. I mean, they're going to give you one of 2 objections. They're either going to say it's too much money or it's too many knives, ultimately. Like, that's more than I want to spend right now, or that's just, I don't know, that's more pieces than I want right now. Can you handle both of those, though? Of course you can. And so, the most important thing want you to make sure you write down in your notes. This is going to be a little bit of a different staircase from yesterday. But the most important thing is that you always go through the process the right way and you give them a chance to see all of their options. That's the right way of doing a demo. And so the way it's going to work, you're going to start out on the top with the homemakers. And you're going to explain the free stuff to them. You show them what it looks like on a 5-pay. And then you AFTO. AFTO. And that stands for ask for the order. Ask for the order. So open up your manual to page 10 really fast. And you'll notice right here in the middle of page 10, you'll see it says ask for the order. And how do we ask for the order on a homemaker?
Ask and wait.
How do you ask? What do you say? What does your manual say?
Make sure you tell them it's included for free.
What does it say? Right next to ask for the order.
I wouldn't be doing my job.
Yeah, hey, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't at least ask. Would you guys like to try out the set? Get the kitchen tools and the shears for free?
That's putting it. That's it. That's asking.
Yeah, that's asking. Okay. And you do have to ask, guys. Trust me. If you're at their house for 45 minutes to an hour, telling them about how awesome Cutco is, they expect at the end you're gonna at least ask them if they want to get it. And is that being pushy, asking them that question?
No.
No. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most pushy you could ever be, where does that fall? 0. Right? It's like it's
part
2.
Of the, yeah,
Right? It's like
a
1. Right? And so just realize it's a really laid back way to ask, but you do have to ask. I mean, if you don't ask, it would be almost pointless. I mean, imagine there's this girl and she's like, oh my gosh, Greg, he's amazing. I think he's just phenomenal. He's so cute. He's good looking. I just think he's so funny, blah, blah, blah. Tell me all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, Greg, did you know she thinks you're just like the bee's knees? She like is really all about you. And then Greg's like, I don't know, do you think I should ask her out or do you think she might say no? What the heck, dude? You know, like, of course she's going to say yes. Ask. Because do they like Cutco when you're showing it to them, do you think?
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, do they like do they like the guarantee?
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like you're asking them something like that they don't want. You just got to help find what they're going to feel comfortable getting to that. So, if they say no, what do you do?
Address the.
Yeah, handle their knee-jerk reaction. First off, it just says, hey, I mean, if you don't mind me asking. And by the way, a lot of time you don't need to ask this question. It says, if you don't mind me asking, can you clarify what it is about the homemaker that you're unsure on? You only need to ask that if they don't really tell you. If they're like, well, I don't know. I don't think so. Alright, sure, no problem. And if you don't mind me asking, Sue, like, what is it about the homemaker that you're just like unsure on? I think that's just more pieces than we would probably use. Okay, no, and I completely understand. I mean, at first, 10 pieces, it really does seem like a lot. And that's actually why most of our customers just find over a lifetime that they end up using all the pieces. And, you know, it's always better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And if you guys do try out the homemaker set, after 15 days, if there's a piece or even a few pieces that you're still unsure on, you can send back just those pieces, and you'll get refunded on those pieces by themselves. So, how does that sound? You know, that's just kind of where you're trying to get a feel for where they're at. Now, obviously, you can read that for whatever they say. But if they say that's still like, well, I don't know, dude, I still think that's too many pieces, or I still think that's a little much, look at page 11. It says, hey, it's not a problem. I mean, really, John, these are just 2 of our bigger sets that we even have. So let me just show you 2 of our smaller sets a lot of people really like. Which the first one, it's called the galley set. Now you notice, by the way, my demeanor when I say that, just like, hey, and no problem at all. Don't even worry about it. Okay. Now, Greg, I'm going to ask you for the order. I want you to tell me it's a little bit too much. Okay. And just watch how I do this. All right. So, all right. Well, Greg, I'm going to be doing my job if I didn't at least ask you this question. Would you like to try out the homemaker set and get the kitchen tools and the shears for free?
I don't know, it just sounds like a little bit too much money for me right now.
Alright. Well, hey, and not a problem at all, Greg. I mean, again, these are just two of our bigger sets. Let me just show you two of our smaller sets a lot of people really like. And the first one is called the galley set, which it's basically what it is. It's everything that's in the homemaker. The only thing it's missing is the butcher knife and the carving set, but it still comes with, and I go through it. Now, I'm going to ask you again. I want you to say the exact same thing. Okay? So, Greg, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't at least ask you this question. Would you like to try out the homemaker set? You have the kitchen tools and the shears for free?
No, it just feels like a bit too much money for me right now.
Okay. Well, that's no problem at all. These are just two of our bigger sets. You guys see it? Did you?
Yeah.
So it's like
yeah.
Sincerity.
this.
Disappointment.
The difference between being confident and unconfident, a lot of time, guys, is literally just a couple of inches. Sometimes like a couple of centimeters. Is literally just like the difference between this and this. Like, sit in your most confident state right now. Like, you're like totally unstoppable. Like, you're like, you have no fears in the world. You're in the most like confident area of your life. You know you own it. You're the authority. Like, you own everything. Like, sit how you'd sit. Are you gonna be slouched like this? Or are you gonna be like totally stayed? Right? Now sit totally depressed. You are like worthless. You are like going nowhere in life, and you are absolutely miserable about where you're at. Sit. Sit like that. Now sit normal. Okay? Now sit confident. So think about like how you're gonna do that. So, and again, guys, just it's like, hey, no problem. I mean, those are just two of our bigger sets. Let me just show you two of the smaller sets. A lot of people really like too. And you go down. So just don't change. That's the most important thing. You can't be like, okay, no problem, you know, and get all sad about it. Because how many of our appointments buy a homemaker?
6 years.
No.
30%.
Oh, by a homemaker.
Yeah. How many buy a homemaker?
20?
Out of 10 appointments, how many buy a homemaker?
1.
Yeah, one. One. Okay? So it makes no sense to be like changed or phased at all if we know that literally 90% of our sales are not homemakers. Okay? So it's just like, yeah, no problem, guys. I mean, those are just two of our bigger sets. Let me just show you. So just make sure your demeanor doesn't change. So look at page 11. So the next step, if they say that's a little much, you drop down and show the galley sets. Explain the free stuff. Show what it looks like on a 5-pay, and you have to. So it just says, so Greg, let's just say I read the first paragraph. It says that, so this sets the galley set. It still comes with 6 of the table knives, and it's a few less knives, but it's a lot less. And basically what it is, still comes with the paring knife, comes with the trimmer, comes with your spatula spreader, comes with the petite carver, turning fork, the chef knife, the slicer. It also comes with 6 table knives. You can also get it without. And you know, the cool thing about this set though, instead of it being $10.79 like the homemaker is, the galley set's only $7.85. You guys notice how I'm like selling them off the homemaker? You know, like, you know, so instead of it being $10.79 though, this one's only $7.85. So it takes off about $250. You know, it's like I'm like building value and like how much better this set probably is for you guys. You know, if that homemaker is too much, like, you know, this is probably a way better set for you. So, and so this one's only $7.85, and if you split it up over the 5 months, Greg, it's only $168, and then it's just $168 over the next 4 months, and that averages out to be less than $6 a day. That's not in your manual. If you want to put that in there, it's less than $6 a day. And think about that. How many of you, a lot of times, spends at least $6 a day on something? Whether it be food, whether it be whatever, cigarettes for some of you, gas, you know, $6, coffee, right? So that's the galley. That's the second biggest set that you're going to be showing them is less than $6 a day. We haven't got to an average order size. You know, we're literally 3 times what an average order. You're like at $2 a day payment for like a lot of the starter sets, $2 to $3 a day for a lot of the starter sets. So, anyways, just keep that in mind. And then And I say, and if you do get that set today, I can still let you have either the kitchen tools or the shears for free. So, is that something that would work a little bit better for your budget? Sure. You notice that is a question I said. There's two questions. You can say, is that something you guys would like to try out today? That's what's in there. It's like, is that something you guys would like to try? Or, you can say, would that work for your budget a little bit better? Now, if they said the homemaker was too many pieces, what do you think I'm going to emphasize more when I'm showing them the guy? That this is less money or less knives?
Less knives.
Yeah. I'm going to be like, so you can see this one's just getting rid of like that butcher knife and the carving set, probably the ones you're not going to use as much anyways. But it still comes with this, and that's what I'm going to really put my focus on. If they said it was just too much money, I'm not going to really emphasize that stuff too much, because they liked those pieces. It was just too much. This one I'm just going to emphasize, you can see it's about $60 less a month. And so, do you think that'd work a little bit better for you guys? And then you ask, and you see it, and that's how you ask. That's how you kind of get a feel for where they're at. And if they're still unsure, what do you think you say? Yeah. Guys, I mean, it's totally fine. If you look at the bottom sentence, or the bottom paragraph, it says, hey, and that's totally fine. Great. Again, these are just two of the bigger sets. And what a lot of customers do is they'll just get one of our starter sets. And I think you'll find one of the starter sets has not only the tools that you like the best, but probably also the ones that you use the most. And you can still get some free stuff with these, and you can always upgrade to like a bigger set later on. But the first one's the essential set right here. And then I go into starters. That's the next one. Show me starter sets. And you explain the free stuff, show them what it looks like on a 5-pay, and you have to. So this is what going through starters looks like. I just say, so this first one here is the essentials, which basically, it comes with the paring knife, comes with the spatula sputter, the turning fork, the T-carve, still got the chef knife, and this one still comes with 5 table knives. You can also get it without. And the names tell you, by the way, how many table knives are in the set. It's like the homemaker plus 8, the galley plus 6, the essentials plus 5. That's how many table knives are in that set. If you don't see it, it doesn't come with table knives. Yeah. So we also have our studio set, which is just your paring knife, the trimmer, the T-carver, the spatula sputter. It also comes with 4 table knives. You can also get it without. And then we got the space saver. And this one, the block, you can put it on the counter, but you can also hang it on the wall or store it in the drawer. It also comes with a little sharpener for your straight edges. And then this one has these 5 pieces here. It comes with the trimmer, paring knife. It also comes with our longer 4-inch paring knife. It also comes with the T-carver and the T-chef. And then these two, actually they come in a tray, so you can put them in a drawer or hang them on a wall. And that's the all knife set and the kitchenette.